Hi everyone. This video is for Module 1.4. Today is Thursday, September 10th. Okay. Module 4, we are discussing model 3-digit numbers. So we're going to learn how to model 3-digit numbers. So remember, we have place values. We have the ones, tens, hundreds. Very good. In the last lesson, we learned that 10 tens is the same as 100. You're right. All right. How do you show a 3-digit number using blocks? All right. So it says use these that Professor Berger called logs, but I call them tens blocks. Use 10 blocks to draw to show what you did. So obviously you don't have any tens blocks at home. So what you're going to do is I just want you to draw the tens blocks the way I've showed you, which is the long rectangle. Okay? All right, let's see what the question says. Jake has 12 10 blocks. He has how many? 12 10 blocks. How many hundreds and tens does Jack have? Okay, so Jack has 10 tens blocks. He has 12 tens blocks. So we're going to draw 12 tens blocks. So I'm drawing with a mouse, so it's really hard. But please make yours as neat as you possibly can. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we have 12 tens blocks. How many hundreds and tens does Jack have? All right, so remember we said 10 tens is the same as 100. If you didn't write this down, make sure you write it down. I need you to write this down on this piece of paper as well. So yes, you already wrote it down for section 1.3. I want you to go ahead and write it down on 1.4 as well. All right, if you didn't get enough time to copy this down, pause the screen now. All right, so 10 tens is the same as 100. So the question is, how many hundreds does he have? Well, he has 12 tens blocks. We're going to group how many of those tens blocks to make 100. We're going to group 10 of those, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to put those in a big fat circle because that's the same as what? 100. 10 tens is the same as 100. And then we have how many more tens blocks left? We have 2 little tens blocks left. So that's 10 and 10, which makes 20. All right. So the question says, draw quick pictures, which we just did. Circle the 10 tens, which is 10 tens, same as 100. And the question is, how many hundreds and tens does Jack have? So let's just go ahead and draw our chart. Ones, tens, hundreds. Okay, the O stands for ones, the T stands for 10, and the H stands for hundreds. How many ones do we have in this picture? We have 0 ones. We don't have any ones, so we're going to write 0. Whenever I write the number 0, just to know that it's not an O, I draw a line through it. So then you know that's a 0. It's not an O. Okay, so there's 0 ones. How many tens blocks do we have? Or how many tens do we have left over after we've made this 100? Well, we've made 100, but how many tens do we have left? We have 2 tens left. We have 2 tens left, and how many hundreds are there? There's 100, right? Because 10 tens is the same as 100. There's only one group, so there's 100. So how many, blocks does Jake have? Jake has 120 blocks. Okay? All right, awesome. Let's move on. Let's see, in the number 348, oh look, they have on my little table that I love so much that I told you guys to write down. Ones, tens, hundreds. In the number 348, the 3 is in the hundreds place. Okay, I'm going to circle that. 3 is in the hundreds place. The 4 is in the tens place. And the 8 is in the ones place. Write the digits in the chart. So all we're going to do is plug that in. I'm going to play with the colors. I'm going to use light blue. It'll let me. Okay. So the 3 is in the hundreds place. So where am I going to draw the 3? In the hundreds place. The 4 is in the tens place. I'll draw it where it says 10. And the 8 is in the ones place. I think that says 8. I kind of drew over it. Yep. And the 8 is in the ones place, so I'm going to write 8 right there. All right. Show the number 348 using blocks. 348 is 300s blocks. See, these are hundreds blocks. Remember, I showed you guys yesterday? The blocks that look like this are hundreds blocks because there are 100 ones in this block. So this is a hundreds block. There are 300s blocks, and there are 4 tens blocks, right? There's 4 of these. These are 10 blocks. Professor Berger called them logs. There's 4 of these, 300, 4 tens, and how many ones? 8 ones. So they drew 8 ones, which is the same as these little teeny tiny cubes. These are 8. These are ones. So it has 8 ones, so they drew 8 ones, okay? All right. Draw a quick picture. So they kind of drew the picture. They just want us to draw it again. So a quick picture. That means when I ask you to draw a tens block, I'm not going to ask you to draw a square and then all those little teeny tiny 100 ones in there. That's ridiculous. Instead, what we do to make it quick, that's why they said quick picture, is we write H in it. And H stands for what? H stands for 100. So there's 3 100 blocks. So you're going to draw 3 squares with H's in them that stand for 100, right? And then how many tens blocks? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 tens blocks. How do we draw tens blocks real quickly? Instead of drawing a rectangle, we just draw long lines. Those are tens. This is the same as this. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tens blocks, and then the ones blocks are just little circles. And there's 8 ones, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There. All right. Write how many hundreds, tens, and ones. It says show with the hundreds blocks, 10 block, and the 1 block, then draw a quick picture. All right. So we don't have the blocks to show, so we're just going to plug in the numbers and draw the picture. So the first one says 238. Well, what number is in the hundreds place? The 2 is in the hundreds place, so we're going to write 2 in the hundreds. What number is in the tens place? 3 is in the tens place. Oh, 3 right there. What number is in the ones place? 4 is in the ones place. We're going to write that right there. Now we have to draw it. Remember what I said. Hundreds are the squares, and it has an H in it. How many hundreds will we draw for this picture? We're going to draw 2 hundreds, right? All right. So we're drawing 2 hundreds. And how many tens will we draw for the picture? We have 3 in the tens place, so we're going to draw 3 tens. 1, 2, 3. Remember, tens can just be long sticks. And then ones, how many ones will we draw for this picture? 4 ones. So we're going to draw 4 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, they have to be smaller circles, so you can leave room on your paper. All right. Number 2, 156. I'm going to ask you to do that one by yourself. You're going to plug in 100, the 1 in the ones place. I'm sorry, the 1 in the hundreds place, the 5 in the tens place, and the 6 in the ones place. You're going to plug those in, and then you're going to draw the hundreds, tens, and ones on the bottom. Okay, moving on. Write how many hundreds, tens, and ones, then draw a quick picture. This is what we just did, so I want you to do 3 by yourself as well. Do 2 and 3 by yourself. Let's look at number 4. We'll do that together. 312. So how many hundreds are in 312? There are 3 hundreds. So I'm going to put 3 in the hundreds place. How many tens? There's 1 10. How many ones? There's 2 ones. So now what do I have to do? I have to draw it out. So there are 3 hundreds. 1, 2, 3. And what do I draw in the middle of those squares? H's. And H's mean that these are 100 blocks. All right. This is very difficult with the mouse, but I'm trying my best. Okay. 3 hundreds, and then we have a tens block, and then we have 2 ones. 1, 2. That's how that picture is going to look. All right, that's pretty easy, schmeezy, lemon squeezy. Number 5 is pretty easy as well. How are the numbers 342 and 324 alike, and how are they different? For this question, you need to go ahead and write, you need to draw your table ones, tens, hundreds, okay? So we're going to draw two tables. You're going to draw it on your paper. I'm going to draw it on my board, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. All right? So we have ones, tens, hundreds. And then I have another one with ones, tens, hundreds. Again, you don't have to write ones, O-N-E-S. Just write O-T-H, ones, tens, hundreds. If you want to write the whole thing out, you can. And then it says, how are the number 342? So we're looking at two numbers, 342, and the other one is 324. So all I did is draw my ones, tens, hundred. You need to write this down on your paper, okay? And then you plug them in. Well, how many hundreds are in 342? We have 3 hundreds, we have 4 tens, we have 2 ones, right? Okay, what about the other number? We have 324, we have 3 hundreds, we have 2 tens, and we have 4 ones. They almost look like the same number if you're reading it fast, but it could be a big mistake, right? Because 342 is larger or greater than 324. So you have to make sure you're looking at it very carefully. So it's asking you, after you draw this table out, it's much easier for you to see. If you need more time drawing this table, go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, after you draw that table, it's very easy to tell how these numbers are the same and how they are different. Looking at that graph, what is the same about these two numbers? They both have a what in the hundreds place? They both have a 3 in the hundreds place. Very good. So how are they the same? How are they alike? They both have a 3 in the hundreds place. So you'll write that down right here. They both, okay, me writing this down is horrible, but you know what I mean. Just go ahead and write down they both have 3 in hundred place. And obviously the word hundred. Okay, I'm not going to try to write that. It's very hard for me to do with the mouse. All right, so they both have a 3 in the hundreds place. That's how they're alike. Now, how are they different? The number 324 has a 2 in the tens place, and the number 342 has a 4 in the tens place. So I would write that down. The number 324 has a 2 in the tens place, and then the number 342 has a 4 in the tens place. That's what makes those numbers different, right? And also, you can also, if you don't want to say the tens place, you can talk about what's in the ones place. You could say that there are in the number 342, there are 2 ones in the ones place. In the number 324, there are 4 in the ones place, right? So either or is okay. Let's look at number 6. Before we do number 6, we're going to go ahead and watch the video, and then we'll read our question. It's very similar. Normally, it's very similar to Professor Berger's question. So here's the video. Let's watch.
Joey, what's wrong?
Oh, Professor Berger, I don't know. My math class, right? It meets in room 254.
Okay.
And my art class meets in room 245. But I don't know. I keep getting them confused. And I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm doing it, when I'm doing it.
Joey, relax, Joey. I actually have a math puzzle that will help us figure it out.
You do?
Come on over here. Okay, so here's the question. How are the numbers 254 and 245 alike, and how are they different? And that's exactly what you're asking.
Oh, it's so confusing.
Well, one thing we can do to make it less confusing is to take a look at a little table where, in fact, we label the hundreds, tens, and units digits. And if we write them in, what we see here, the first number, we see 254.
Oh, yeah.
And so now it's clear that we have 2 hundreds, 5 tens, and 4 ones. And the other number, we see 245.
Right.
And so there we see 2 hundreds, 4 tens, and 5 ones. And so immediately we see that the similarity is that they both have the digit 2 in the hundreds. But we see there's differences because, in fact, with the first number has the digit 5 in the tens, and the other one has a 4 in the tens, and the first one has a 4 in the ones and a 5 in the ones, the second number. So you see, so now what we can think of is we can see that the digits are the same because we certainly have the digit 2, 4, and 5 appearing in all the numbers.
That's true.
But the order's a little different, right? Except for the 2's. They both have a 2 in the hundreds place.
Right.
Now you can actually represent these numbers using base 10 blocks. And so here's how you could represent 254, because each one of these squares, in fact, is 100. So I have 100 and 100, that's 200. And each one of these longs is a 10. So it represents tens. And here I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 tens. And then how many of these little teeny squares? Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, and that makes a 4 here. So 254.
Oh, yeah.
And we could actually do the same thing with the other number if we wanted to.
Right.
And we could look at 245, and we'd see 100 and 100, so that's 200. And now, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we have 4 tens, but now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
5 ones.
Exactly. Now, in fact, you can make a quick picture of this. And let me just ask you to think about it for a second. See if you can make a quick picture that renders, in fact, these different base 10 blocks, and we'll see if we agree. Well, let's see how we can do it. And Joy, I want you to see how you can actually make a quick picture of this. If you don't actually have the base 10 blocks handy, you can actually draw these things really, really nicely. And here's how. For the first one, you can just represent these things with a big square.
Right.
So I draw a big square like this, and then another big square, and then just draw lines for the longs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then little circles for the ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that represents the number 254.
That's cool.
And now if we want to represent 245, it's the same idea. We draw little squares to represent.
Squares.
Exactly. And then in this case, we've got 4 longs. 1,
Four.
2, 3, 4. And then we have 5 little guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that represents the same thing. So we see the difference. Here's what we see. What we see is the number 254 has 5 tens and 4 ones, whereas the number 245 has 4 tens and 5 ones. And so now you can tell the two numbers apart.
Hey, you know what?
What?
That math looks a lot like art when you draw it like that.
Actually, that's right. So maybe you'll still be confused with what to do in which class.
Oh, no!
No, it's all good.
No!
No, math and art, it's all good. Have fun thinking about math and art, and we'll see you soon. No.
Okay. All right. That's actually very similar to the one I just did with you guys. But that's okay. More practice is always better. Let's look at number 6 together. I have 10 hundreds blocks, 5 ones blocks, 10 hundreds blocks, 5 ones blocks, I'm going to underline that, and 8 tens blocks. I use all my blocks to model 2 3-digit numbers. What could my two numbers be? So everybody's is different. Everyone's answer is going to be different here. You're going to draw the ones, tens, hundreds table, obviously. That's important. And then I'm going to change my color to red. Okay, I have 10 hundreds blocks, so I can write a 10 in the hundreds place. 5 ones blocks and 8 tens blocks. I use all my blocks to model 2 3-digit numbers. What could my two numbers be? Okay, so, or hold on, he has 10 hundreds blocks. That's the same as 1,000. So he has 1,085 blocks. But that doesn't make sense because it says I use all my blocks to model 2 3-digit numbers. Let me grab my teacher book and see what do they mean? That question could be a little confusing. Let's see. Give me just a second. I have 10 hundreds blocks, 5 ones blocks, and 8 tens blocks. I use all my blocks to model 2 3-digit numbers. Oh. I have 10 hundreds blocks, 5 ones blocks. Oh, okay. He has 10 hundreds blocks. He doesn't have to use all 10 of the hundreds blocks at one time. So he can split them up. So, sorry. He doesn't use all 10 of those at the same time. So I'm going to erase this, and now I'm going to try that again. So 400, he has, I'm going to say out of the 10 blocks, I don't know, you can use as many as you want. You don't have to use all 10. He has 10 hundreds blocks. You don't have to use all 10 hundreds. I'm going to use 4 of those hundreds at first, okay? So he has 4 of those hundreds blocks, or he's going to use 4 for one of them. He has 5 ones blocks and 8 tens. I'm not going to use all 5 the first time. I'm going to use 2. And I'm not going to use all of the tens or ones blocks either. So my first possible answer could be 425. And then you can mix it up and do another one. Well, let's see. If I already used 400s, the second time I'm going to use a number maybe 600s, right? Because I'm using what I didn't use to begin with. So if I already used 4, then this time I'm going to use 6, because 6 plus 4 is 10, right? And there's 10 hundreds blocks. So there's 600s. The other number could be 600s. It could be, there's 6 tens, and there's 0 ones, because I already used all 5, the ones blocks. So my first number could be 425. 425, and my next number can be 660. Okay, that doesn't look like a 6. There we go, that looks like a 6. Okay, you are going to do number 7, 8, 9 by yourself, and then you're going to do the yellow page 35 and 36 by yourself as well. You're going to take a picture of those and submit it onto the Google Classroom or send it to my email. Again, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'll be online all day. Have fun learning math. Bye.